Hello, dear viewers, and welcome to international discussion dedicated to the global forum We Are People, We Want to Live, that was broadcasted on May 7th on the Creative Society platform across 100 languages around the world. 11-hour broadcast that uncovered the most relevant, the most vital topics of our society. It's an unprecedented event, and we are happy to have you here with us today.
And today, in our international online discussion together with our respected speakers, we will continue to uncover the topics that were raised during this forum, as well as share our impression of this significant event. And I'm honored to introduce you to our guest. Please welcome Prachi Gupta. She is author, entrepreneur, and social activist from India. Welcome, Prachi. We're so happy to have you with us today. We also would like to welcome Mr. Surender Kumar. He is the PhD in human rights, also postgraduate in criminal justice. Mr. Kumar has Australian Leadership Award, fellow Melbourne University from Australia. Welcome, Mr. Kumar. And as Tali mentioned, that the forum has very significant importance for all of us, for the humanity, because the information that was presented on this forum is a life-saving information, knowing that people will be able to make a very important step in order to change the format of our society from a consumer format to a creative society, because that's so important right now for survival of all of us. And that's why we would like to ask our first question to Prachi Gupta. Could you please share your thoughts and your feedbacks of this important event?
So when I went through the forum, the earlier forum was also wonderful. And when I went through this forum, I came to know a lot of things. Some things which were missing in the last part were totally covered in this one. Like earlier, in the earlier discussion, we were not that much told about the UN and the fundraising and what is the Consumers Forum Society doing to fool the people around. But this forum second session it opened my eyes, and I was myself into many NGOs and funding and helping fundraising, and this forum information, everything was so shocking and surprising that it just got me think twice that shall we be in that fundraising or not. So this was very extraordinary, which I found over there, that the information, all the statistics were just amazing. We won't find such unique and proper information anywhere on any other channel. So Creative Society has done a great job in bringing that session for the whole world.
Thank you so much, Prachi. Yes, indeed, this topic of United Nations, of fundraising, of all these vital topics, it also was interesting for me as a participant of the Creative Society to watch as well, because, not just for the viewers, but even people who prepare the forum, they're completely different teams and they have, research in different subjects. And when we found out that how exactly our money are being spent on, fancy resorts, on five-star hotels, on fancy restaurants for the bureaucrats of the United Nations, instead of helping people, like money that we donate that goes from our taxes for food, for, helping to survive people in regions where they have no access to water. And of course, with such approach, it's impossible to fight any sort of problem because the system itself is consumeristic. As you said, it's consuming our resources and our lives. And those people who are supposed to help us, they're just consuming our resources. So thank you so much for mentioning this. Yes, it's indeed shocking information. And thank you for mentioning that Creative Society, that people, themselves brought this up, because like who else? All the organizations only interested in, being part of this consumeristic system, they will never complain about this, because each system is interested in growing the problem, because the bigger the problem, the bigger their budgets to fight the problem. So of course it's thank you for bringing this up. And then for our guest, for Mr. Surender Kumar, we've talked with you before, prior to the forum, on topics of very sensitive topics, and I wanted to thank you for taking this much deep into things where people usually avoid to even get in there, because psychologically learning about the abuse, learning about people being kidnapped, being exploited, being sold, it's very heavy. So I just wanted to ask you, what do you think, out of your perspective, considering all your experience, which subjects of the conference were the most touching for you?
This is really a very, I would say, healthy question you asked me. I was a part of conference, Creative Society, last conference also, and this also. So I was supposed to also help in translation, but due to some disconnects, I was not able to, but I saw this entire conference. And to the more things, I was talking to one of the volunteer friend of mine. One thing I admitted here, particularly about this conference, that this conference covered a wide gamut and variety of informations and dimensions, which normally is not covered by mainstream media. On repeat, the conference has covered something which is very important, and it's not being covered by the mainstream media. And when I saw one of the volunteers was speaking how it has happened in Ukraine, because even women and small children, they're being raped because of war. And this is one of the tendencies. It happens in war setups. People are trafficked, they're raped also, their human rights are violated, not just violated, but it's a gross violation, an absolute violation that happens. But I was not able to capture it in mainstream. But when I saw the conference, people talking, sharing informations and different pains they are exchanging and telling what actually the eyewitness. So I was cross-confirmed, yes, it is. So the main point, I was very happy to see that the conference just did not cover environmental dimensions or climate change dimensions. Yes, it did. So that is one of the striking things, and I highly appreciate such kind of coverage has to happen. There has to be a broadcast of such kind of possibilities which are happening behind the curtain and not being covered by the mainstream media.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kumar. And thank you again for emphasizing that in our society, we're missing truthful information. And that's the signal for us that each of us should act. It is very important to understand for all of us that we cannot no longer shift responsibility to somebody else's shoulder in order to sit down and hope that he or she will fix everything. We need to understand, we need to grow up that the fate and future of our society is in our hands. And right now, I suggest that we will watch a short video that were presented on the forum on May 7th, which once again will show us the need to act independently, need to action for each of us.
Perhaps you may think it will never happen to you. While those people have been given all the help they needed and they are now safe. And indeed, there is now a huge number of organizations and foundations dedicated to helping people. The largest of them, the United Nations, is positioning itself as the guarantor of peace and security of humankind. For decades, we have been hearing beautiful slogans and promises from high rostrums. If you listen to these loud statements, it may seem that we will solve all our problems. There will be no more poverty, no more hunger, no more wars, and we will all live well. After all, there are over 100 international organizations working under the aegis of the United Nations to solve the world's problems. For every new problem, a new organization is created. Every year, UN member states pay huge contributions to these organizations. In fact, this is money from our pockets. These are the taxes we pay to the state. Between 2010 and 2020, according to official data, the 44 UN organizations alone raised $540.4 billion. Contributions to the UN organizations have increased by 58% over 10 years. But let's take a look at what we have achieved over this period of time. The largest amount of money today goes to solving the problem of hunger. The main UN organizations to tackle this problem are the World Food Program, WFP, and the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO. They have raised $79.8 billion over the last 10 years. Current estimates are that almost 690 million people are hungry in the world and 750 million people are severely food insecure. The Food and Agriculture Organization itself predicts an even greater increase in hunger by 2030. 841 million people. So, the World Food Program is projecting funding needs for 2022 already at $13.9 billion. So they say, there will be more hungry people, so they need more money. It is a legitimate question. How is it that, with ever-increasing funding, the problem itself is only becoming worse? Let's look at another problem, the refugee problem. The number of refugees has doubled over the past 10 years, comprising 82.4 million in 2020. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, deals with refugee issues. Over the past 10 years, funding for the organization has increased by 56%, reaching $4.8 billion in 2020. Let's look at what kind of help they provide to people. One area of refugee assistance is shelter. On their website, they state, "The main part of our protection mission is to guarantee access to proper shelter in humanitarian emergencies. We provide tents, distribute plastic sheeting, and develop strategies, tools, and guidance in emergency situations, and provide emergency assistance to those who need it most. On cold nights or hot days, our help can be the deciding factor between life and death. In an emergency, tarpaulin tents are an adequate short-term measure, but people live in such tech camps for years in inhumane conditions with no hope of the future. Due to the lack of even basic sanitation conditions, people die of infectious diseases. Who benefits from the problem not being solved? As long as there is a problem, there is funding. And if the problem is solved, there will be no funding and therefore no organizations. As long as there is a financial interest, as long as someone makes money from it, no one will solve the problem. The UN itself is very much like a transnational corporation in its structure. There is a parent company that coordinates and manages the activities of its other companies, but each brand is a separate business entity. In 2020, more than $3.7 billion was spent to maintain the UN bureaucracy on staff and director salaries, health insurance, holidays, business class flights, and other expenses. The planned expenditures for the renovation of the Palace of Nations alone in Switzerland, where the UN headquarters is located, is $871 million. With this money, 174,000 houses could be built using 3D printing technology. How many refugee families could benefit from this housing? But alas, building homes for those in need is not a priority for their aid. What do we have in the end? Numerous organizations that we have entrusted with the responsibility of solving serious problems of humanity turn out, on closer examination, to be merely business structures. It becomes obvious that there is a direct interest in the growth and aggravation of problems. In other words, it is beneficial for someone that people starve, struggle to survive, and make wars with each other. And that is the cynicism of the consumerist format of society. Creating the illusion of solving a problem without the real goal of eradicating it is a principle of the consumerist format. Under such conditions, it is tantamount to anesthesia for a fatal illness. And even closing or reforming some organizations or firing some individuals will not save the situation, because new ones will come in their place and do the same thing, making money off our lives. Today, because of our tacit support for the consumerist format, we are all on the precipice. The rapid escalation of all crises will soon bring us all, without exception, to the brink of disaster. What kind of help will we get? A piece of tarpaulin for shelter and a couple of bottles of water?
Wow, what a shocking video it is, right, Marina? Please go ahead.
No, it's very difficult to understand that such a thing as refugees, wars, different conflict, human trafficking could be a business of somebody. It's just unbelievable and eye-opening information that we need to understand and we need to learn in order to stop shifting the responsibility and stop hoping that somebody will fix everything. They only will make money on the problem that we are facing right now. Prachi, I have a question to you. So, what we saw, what we see every day actually on the TV, what's happening around the globe. So our action, so if we describe it, so we have been brought up helpless. So that we are not good enough to fix the problem by ourselves. And at the same time, we are also regularly brainwashed and pit against each other. So we have constant conflict in our society. Why do you think this happens? And what should we do in order to stop and to change the format of our relation?
That's a nice question there. Like what I got from this forum was that like we are being brushed totally for the consumer forum. It's all the consumer society. What they are doing is they are inculcating fear and guilt in us to get money out of us. All the channels, all the news we get, it's all getting fear into us. If we get that fear, we will be scared and we will be doing different kinds of stuff. Like all people are good. No country has like millions of people, all millions are bad. It never happens like that. Not all 100 million or 50 million people are bad. In a country, there are a small section of people that are bad, that are ruling this entire system. In each country, it is not about my particular country or America or something else. It is each country having small portion of people that are ruling this consumer society. In that case, what we have to do is we have to be aware, like we should be known that not all people are bad. We should join each other with hearts. We should communicate people like the Creative Society Forum. They are joining people from different countries. Like today we are from India. Next guest will be from some other part. So when we spread the information, connect together, then only we can have information about like what was good, what is not good, Not all people are bad. I want to say. Like I was so shocked to see like $14 trillion a year are spent on wars and conflict. Is it like, do the common people of a country, the citizens of a country require war? No, we don't need wars. It is the consumer society that needs us to have a war, to have fear, and get that out from us. When we have a war, we will be in fear, and then the people who are getting affected by it will be shattered, and they will show us the picture of them. See, this catastrophe happened, and people are like that. Then what will happen? We will have that fear. Oh, this can happen to us too. And then we will have the guilt. They make us feel guilty, like why we are not doing anything. When the government is doing, we are paying taxes basically. We are paying taxes which is given to the UN and other organizations. Yet we are made to feel guilty to give more. This is what they are doing. You have to be very sure where are you spending. Is the amount you are giving is really getting to those people or not? So we have to be very careful and self-aware. If each person be aware from each country, we can slowly and collaboratively bring a massive change in the world. Thank you.
Prachi, this is amazing message. Thank you so much for bringing this up. Thank you so much for emphasizing on the consumerist format of the society that is inhumane itself, and that most people are very good people. We know it from contacting people all over the world. Like 99% of people want the same thing, live in a prospering, creative society. And it's just a consumerist format in which, even good people, by the time they get to the top of this political system, they start playing by the consumerist rules and start behaving in inhumane format. It's the whole system itself that isn't working correctly. And you're absolutely right. We are paying enough taxes, enough money. We're doing enough, work enough to solve any problem. But it's resources that are being taken from us are not being distributed correctly. And then we are being blamed for not doing enough. Yeah. When this is ridiculous, when billionaires and millionaires on Instagram and other social media spending our money, which we basically taken from our taxes, to promote themselves and their nonprofits, for us to do even more donations to their nonprofits. And I'm asking, what sense does it make for the money that are being spent by United Nations on having refugee in that camp for 1 year? They could build a house for multiple people and solve the problem once and for all, but nobody is doing this. And that's the problem. The problem that we as people didn't have knowledge about this. But thanks to the forum that people did, including you participated in it as well, and people from around the world, we are bringing this truth. And we use modern technologies to create this electoral request to implement a different kind of society, a creative society. Thank you so much. And my next question is for Mr. Surender Kumar. So there are many events today around the world which are not covering this holistic picture, or only showing one side of the story, but not giving the complete information to the people. And how do you think lack of truthful information actually affects our society and its development?
Thanks. It's an important question. And I want to tell you, lack of information can certainly deprive us from various dimensions of our life, which can propel us toward development. And when information is not given to us, be it quantitative information or qualitative information, any body of information in any possible version, it is like it blinds us, and it doesn't let us see what is real and what we actually need. It doesn't allow us to think scientifically what we need and what we do not need. So that becomes a whole lot of a problem. It muddles people, it blinds people around. People cannot have access to information and to write what actually they need. So they're muddled, they're confused. And once this consumeristic format of society, which is controlling the society, is able to blind people, is able to confuse people and muddle them, they can definitely extract benefit serve the purpose they are asking us to serve. Their objectives are met, their purpose is met. So that is the reason information is very important. And once again, what I would say, the mainstream media is not covering the tremendous information, specifically, particularly talking about this war. The media is covering the war, but the real challenges, real realities, what people are going through is not being covered by the mainstream media. But thank God to this conference, that this conference made honest attempt to cover those sufferings of people where, the incidence of rape is one of that. And then access to food, access to security. There's tremendous things which are happening but are not being covered by mainstream media just because they want to fool people around, they want to blind them so that we don't have that scientific pattern of thinking. By hiding the information will not allow us to develop and should have cradled in us that scientific pattern of thinking. The moment we have right thinking, we will certainly escalate the matters and stand for our human rights, for our challenges, and we will look for scientificity in our life in order to develop our life in all possible dimensions, be it developing society or developed society, that hardly matters. But hiding information will certainly blind us, confuse us, and also it will make human society disabled so that we don't just ask for what we need. I think that's what I just want to say.
Thank you so much. I absolutely agree that lies and hiding of information definitely will close our eyes, but truth will open our eyes. And with the eyes open, we definitely will be able to make a step toward the new future, toward the creative society. And that's why it's so important right now that every single person that knows the truth right now will not be silent and will share the truth with every single person around him or her, with the family, with the co-workers, with people even they don't know, they live in a different continents like we're doing right now. Because that's the condition that we need for our survivor. And I would like to invite you to watch very motivating videos about how people are not silent right now.
Do you know that people stopped being silent? International discussions.
The truth is that when it comes to migrations and refugees, it is a business.
I saw the market where the children selling out openly.
4 days we were facing the sniper shot us and the bullets above our heads.
If we do not address such issues like human trafficking, tomorrow it could be you, tomorrow it could be me.
Politics is driving the science, not the science driving the politics.
Many people want us to stop to talk, but I say no. This reality can affect and can take your life anytime.
People are losing everything.
$270 trillion.
Where is the money? And where is the result?
This 12,068-year cycle is a clock cycle.
All these problems that we're facing right now, you cannot tackle alone.
Thank goodness we have the creative society
to choose human life over currency.
We're living in one big home, and if this big family fighting with each other, destroy walls of the home, tomorrow we will find ourselves in the streets without a roof, without the families.
From every corner, we can actually hear that it is not economically beneficial. But the question is, economically, it is not beneficial for whom? Isn't beneficial for us people to save our own lives?
We need to bring together all of the intellect, all to the science, all of the people that can actually do something.
I think that the members of Creative Society are the new and real superheroes.
These people already understand that we should urgently act. Do you want to become part of changes? Take action. Don't be silent. You are invited to the new season of international discussions. Watch the forum, Global Crisis. We are people. We want to live. Changes begin from you.
Absolutely right. Change truly begins from you, from this short, small step, sharing the information about possibility of changing the format of society from a consumer-oriented society, consumer format that killing us, to the creative that will give a new development, new way for development for the entire civilization. And it's so easy to share this information with our friends, with our family. They will quickly pick it up on this information, and they will continue to share it further. And when millions of people will speak about the creative society, then billions of people will be able to hear us. And then we will be able to implement creative society all over the world. And now my question to both of you, our dear guests. So what can we all do in order to help millions of people to hear us and start talking? So the entire humanity will learn about creative society as soon as possible. That's the big challenge that we need to solve with you together.
So if we begin, like, I am a writer, I'm a story writer. Whenever I see people, I see different characters in them, I am a hero in them. So every person, every human being has a hero and heroine in them somewhere hidden. So if we can just get to them to get that feeling of heroism back, we can make them speak up. Like, why everyone should be quiet? You have a hero, a leader inside you. Every one of us has. If we get that hero out, we can get a bigger message around through that one person. If one person speaks, his friends gonna speak, his community gonna speak, then the whole city will speak, and then the whole world will speak. It will start from one person. You are not a common man. No one is common. You all are heroes. Just get that heroism out from you, and you can bring about a massive change in this world. Every human being can. That's what I want to say.
Thank you so much. It's a beautiful message. Yeah, truly, each one of us has its own good sides. And you know, this good side has been craving for action. We all feel that something has been going wrong in our society. But like, without having information, we didn't know how exactly can we contribute. And now we all know that when people are informed, they can create a request. We call it electoral request, to change society on legal level, to actually implement the 8 foundations which put human life first into, you know, legal norms of each state. So thank you so much for bringing that up. And yeah, maybe we could also hear from Mr. Surender Kumar. What could help people to start taking action in spreading the information about the creative society?
Yeah, this is a very important question. And what I want to say, like, it's important for us to educate ourselves. It is also about individuality. At the same time, it is about collectivity also. But such forums and platforms like creative societies, free access. People just have to watch at their conference, maybe their discussions, maybe their projects, or what they're sharing, their painful experiences, their real experiences. But yes, these are wonderful opportunities and platforms for all of us as human beings. Globally, I'm talking about as global society, human society. But what individuals and creative societies, members, and other people can do to spread the message in a broader spectrum around is like the individual's call. at the same, yeah, of course, conference and discussions, they are collective calls, but individual calls also have to happen, such as like I'm working as an assistant professor in a university setup. So what I keep doing, I keep sharing about informations about creative society. This conference also I spoke about to some of my students and my researchers. And one of the most striking thing in this forum, in this discussion, I liked, like they were mentioning that this time 180 countries, more than that, and they've also created a platform and opportunity for researchers across the globe where they can come together, discuss ideas, and share right findings and solutions as researchers. And this is happening right under the umbrella of creative society. So that's one opportunity which was very striking for me. And I shared about this opportunity to rest of my colleagues. Though we are not scientific researchers, we do not have science background, but we have social backgrounds and different backgrounds. But still we are researchers and scientific researchers. So I spoke to them. I said there is a platform and it is known as Creative Society. They're working on these kind of issues. They're working on human rights, they're covering war coverage, also human trafficking, climate change, environmental issues. So it's important. And they're very excited about it. Many people are asking, and they're also contacting some of the volunteers of Creative Society across the globe. So that's a wonderful opportunity. I would say the goal has to happen individually. And again, it's not just about individuality, that people have to function and sort of operate on their individual grounds, but at the same time, there has to be a collectivity also in order to handle, in order to respond such kind of nasty things which have been happening due to consumeristic format of society. So I just want to say there are two dimensions: individual dimension that has to be sort of operated, but collectivism also has to happen, which is already happening right in the panel, right in the platform as an opportunity, Creative Society, which is going on.
Thank you so much. Yes, I absolutely agree with you that, this collective change has to come from people themselves, because like in the consumer system, we don't expect those who are in power, those 0.9% who benefit from wars, from doing economic crisis, to start changing the system. The system is designed in that way that those who are on top not gonna change anything, unfortunately. But we, the people, we should stop empowering them and just create a different society in which 99% of people are having power and making decisions as to what are the priorities. Is it creating more sophisticated ways to kill each other? Or is it really ways to produce enough food, water, and creating a beautiful world for all of us to live in? And thank you so much for sharing your personal experience as to how you spoke to your friends, even people who have scientific background and just regular people, because each one of us is a basic individual of the society, a human being. And this is essential, where each human being speaks to one another as equal and just shares information, because each one of us has a different background. As you said, your friends, they have social background, which is very valuable too. Prachi is a writer. She's also contributing in a very tremendous and important way. So is each one of us, based on our specific skill set. So I wanted to thank you for being with us today. Yes, Marina, just before
I would like to add also a couple of words, because it's I really like what Mr. Kumar also said, that a creative society, that everybody benefits from creative society. It's very important to every single person on earth. Doesn't matter on which part of the planet you live, what social status you have, we all will benefit, because what could be wrong with the world that lives accordingly the foundation that human life is the highest value, that everybody can live happily and forget about worries about their children, about the future, about wars and hunger and all this difficult situation that unfortunately many people around the world are facing right now. And I also very, very like what Prachi said about the heroism of spreading the information, because when we are growing up, we all really wanted to be some kind of Superman, Superwoman, superhuman. And that's exactly the task for a superhero, to change the future of our civilization, to bring happiness to every single corner of our earth. So why not get together, unite around the idea of building creative society, and do it as soon as possible. Thank
Absolutely,
you so much, dear
Marina.
guest.
Yes, just as each human supposed to have a goal in life, you know, each one of us has some goals. Otherwise, what's the point of life if we don't have a goal, right? But think about it this way: as a society, what is our goal? We don't have a goal as a society. Where do we go? We have no goal. Of course, we cannot reach anywhere. But now we do have a goal thanks to the people. And we call it creative society, but actually this is the society which exists in the culture of each nation. This is the values that live all over the world, in each history of each country, each nations, everywhere. This is the core values. So dear guests, thank you so much for participating. Thank you so much for being with us today, for contribution that you're making, and for the changes that you make in our world by changing the informational field, first of all. And right now, this message goes to our viewers, and I would like to ask you, friends, please, if you like these facts, if you understand how important it is, please make your own contribution to changing the world for a better, for all of the humankind. And it starts with the simple things like sharing this information on your social media, and you can do it right away. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tali. And I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our guest today. Thank you so much for sharing with us your wisdom, your understanding, because it's so important right now that we will talk. We will connect the continents. We will connect different parts of the world in order to find the common idea that can unite us. And this is the idea of creative society. Thank you so much for sharing with us all your thoughts that you had after watching the forum. And dear guest, if you also already watched the international forum and would like to participate in an international discussion such as this one, please contact us at info@creativesociety.com. We will be so happy to invite you to our next discussion. And once again, I would like to emphasize how it is important right now to watch that forum and share with every single person you know, because that information is a life-saving information. So dear guests, dear viewers, thank you so much for being with us today. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.